Today I'll show you what to prepare to quickly reach level 61 in the Burning Crusade anniversary. The reason for this preparation is because it makes you able to skip Hellfire and run straight into Sangamarsh, as a lot of those quests requires you to be level 61. That way you will also avoid a lot of competition and lag in Hellfire, which was a big issue back in Burning Crusade Classic 2021. There's an important thing I have to highlight before you can follow this guide. You can prepare these things if you have already done many high level quests on your character. In other words, it's for those of you who got boosted through dungeons, made a fresh character for Burning Crusade, or will be playing a Blood Elf or Draenei in the pre-patch. As I'm making this video, we also still don't know if a level 58 character boost will be introduced like they did back in 2021. If so, then you can definitely also follow every single step. The last thing you gotta be aware of is that I'll also post a part 2 in the future. This will get you to level 62 in around an hour, but also requiring way more preparations and for you to be together with a mage at the launch day. Alright, so as of right now, we can currently prepare 20 quests in our quest log. The moment the pre-patch goes live, this is being extended to 25. Therefore, I'll also just show you every 25 quests, but also items you can buy on the auction house and other things we can loot in the open world that begins a quest. That way you can prepare way more than 25. First I'll cover the things I do in each individual zone, and then I'll show you how I plan to hand in everything at the launch day. I'll also add a timeline so you can easily skip to whatever you're looking for. Anyway, the first zone I'm going to cover is Silithus, and this is the first quest I'm picking up. The name of this quest is the Twilight Mystery. You do this at the northwestern part of the zone, where you need to loot a total of 8 tablet fragments. Once you have successfully done this, you pick up a follow-up where you need to find an NPC in a cave. It can be found at the eastern part of the zone. I guess some of you are also curious, how come I complete this now when I could be getting 70,000 experience at the launch day? Well, the follow-up are just going to grant me more experience, and because I have the time to prepare this, then I would much rather like to obtain the 3 different Twilight lexicons. Those are obtained by killing the different Twilight keepers. It's important you don't hand this in until the launch day. That way you will get around 10,000 experience and 2 follow-ups. One of these telling you to get 10 encrypted Twilight texts. The quickest way to obtain these is just to buy them on the auction house, and then you have got yourself around 9,000 additional experience. The good thing is that these texts are usually not that expensive. You can expect them to be sold for less than 2 gold each. The next thing you want to do is to head back to Cenarian Hold. In the inn, you want to head upstairs and find a goblin. Accept Deadly Desert Venom and head to the northern part of the zone. Here we gotta kill some spiders, but also some scorpions and loot the items. Once you have done this, you head back and you pick up a follow-up. This time we gotta kill different scorpions, located way more to the south. The moment you have looted all of these items, you're then ready to pick up the final part that we also gotta keep for the Burning Crusade release. It's picked up from the male goblin up here. What we are being told to do is to obtain an item looted on the ground. But before we head there, make sure to also click on the wanted poster, as it will tell us to head to the exact same location as the other quest we just picked up. However, there's one more thing we gotta do before we're ready to leave Cenarian Hold. Accept Dearest Natalia from this Night Elf up here. Now you have got 3 quests for pretty much the exact same location. By the time you have made it to the southern part of the zone, you gotta speak to the dwarves and listen to their RP. Then you will complete Dearest Natalia, but we can't hand this in yet. First, we gotta head up here, where we gotta kill this elite scorpion. Make sure to loot the quest item, and to your right, you'll find the bag that you also gotta loot. Alright, so at this point we have completed all 3 quests, but it's important you're only handing in Dearest Natalia. This will unlock into the Morph Madness that you gotta make sure you're also picking up. But on top of this, when you hand in Dearest Natalia, you're unlocking 2 new quests you can pick up at the dwarves at the southern part of the zone. The thing that I will do right now is also going to be a lot easier if you're going to do this with at least 1 or 2 more players. First, you gotta head into this specific location, kill at least 1 creature, and loot the brain. Then you gotta head further into the cave until you get to this area. One of our quests is telling us to slay the Night Elf, the other one to interact with the object or will crystal to my left. Another crystal is found at the northern part of Silithus, close to Cenarian Hold. You can jump down here, if there's of course not a lot of creatures alive, else just slowly kill them and make your way into this specific room. Turn to your right, and down there you'll find another crystal. It's important you're also killing one of these creatures, as you gotta loot another brain part. Now there's just one more crystal and brain part to collect. This can be done at this specific location. Now we have also completed all the different things we had to do in the 3 quests we unlocked by handing in Dearest Natalia, and we can move on to the next step in this guide, which is to go back to Cenarian Hold and speak to the Tauren over here and accept the quest. This is done nearby, and all you gotta do is to kill 10 of these enemies. The great thing is that the moment you have killed all 10, you have prepared yet another thing for our quest log. It's important you don't hand in this quest, but when you're in Cenarian Hold, make sure to speak to the Night Elf right here. Accept what tomorrow brings, and start heading towards Caverns of Time in Tanaris. When you get close enough to this dragon, you will also automatically complete the quest, and then you head back to Silithus. And then what tomorrow brings, and accept only one may rise. The next thing you gotta do is to start looking for a raid team who would like to do the raid Blackwing Lair. In Blackwing Lair, we gotta kill this specific boss and loot the head. It's important you don't hand in this, as it would reward you 14,000 experience, equal to 2 normal quests. Yet another benefit is that there will be a follow-up you can basically instantly complete if you've got 200 of these fragments. The great thing is that we can just buy these on the auction house, but the downside is that it will also be rather expensive when you need 200. As of right now, we are also doing pretty good on our progression, but there's still a couple of more things to be done in Silithus before we can swap to the next zone, such as getting 10 more encrypted Twilight text. Those you will need for secret communication. I just accept the quest so you can see what we need to provide, but you should in fact abandon this, because at the launch day you can just speak to the Tauren and then instantly complete it. And yes, we did already buy 10 of these for another thing in the zone, which is why you will need a total of 20 to complete Silithus. The next thing you would like to do is the raid Hakkari. You can do this on 20 and 40 men. It will especially be important to focus on 40 men, as you will get reputation with a faction we haven't focused on yet. When you get to friendly, you can choose a ring, and this you can upgrade all the way up to exalted. Every time you upgrade this, you will also be getting experience. Another benefit of doing AQ40 is that all the different bosses will be dropping an insignia, and those you can hand in right after the first boss, in the room down here to the left. This will grant you reputation with the faction, but also with Cenarian Circle, the same faction you will get reputation with when you're doing different quests in Silithus, and this is another faction we gotta pay attention to. I'll explain why in just a moment. But what you gotta be aware of is that the final boss in AQ20 and AQ40 will also drop an item beginning a quest. Sadly, only one raid member will be able to loot these, but then again, it is also going to be additional experience you can prepare. And don't worry, it's not mandatory to get these. You will still be able to quickly reach level 61 if you follow some of the remaining steps in this guide. Alright, so why would we like to focus on Cenarian Circle reputation? There's a basic reason. As you get to friendly, honored, and revered, you're going to unlock new quests we can do. For example, from the Tauren here, there's all of a sudden 2 more quests we can pick up. Both of these are basically instantly completed. All you gotta do is just to speak to the Night Elf close to the Innkeeper. Yes, we hand these in before the Burning Crusade, as it will give us some follow-ups we can start working on. The great thing is that these are rather easy to complete. All you gotta do is just to head to the auction house and start buying the materials we need to provide. The good thing is that most of these materials are not too expensive. Beside the Abyssal Scepter, this is sometimes selling for 2 and all the way up to 500 gold on the auction house. The most insane thing is that all of these quests are telling us to provide materials you can buy on the auction house and nothing else. That's why I just abandoned these, so I've also got room for 3 additional quests. The next thing I'm about to show you is not mandatory, and we can easily reach 61 without doing so. The one I accept here is telling me to head into AQ20 and acquire different materials. There's also a quest from a Tauren, and in fact an additional one from a male Night Elf close to the Innkeeper at the corner over here. What you would like to be aware of is that some of the materials can be bought on the auction house, while some of the others are going to be bind on pickup, which is why you gotta head into AQ20 yourself. The good news is that you don't even need to be on these quests in order to acquire the different items, and what I tend to do is just to abandon these unless it's way too difficult for me to remember what I need to collect. At this point, we're also done with Silithus, and it's finally time for us to swap to another zone. As a Horde player, you should go to Orgrimmar, and in front of the bank there's going to be an orc giving you a quest to Alterac Mountains. You can find the exact same quest as an Alliance player in front of the Ironforge bank. As an Alliance player, you will need to head to this specific location, and as a Horde player to this one in Alterac Mountains. Once you have made it to these destinations, you hand in the quest you picked up either in Ironforge or Orgrimmar. This will give you a follow-up called Proving Grounds, which is done in the battleground Alterac Valley. But before we sign up to Alterac Valley, then make sure to also scout the area, as there's many quests for this battleground, rewarding a lot of experience, which is why I would recommend you to prepare these as well. The quickest way to sign up is just to head further into the cave. When you get to the red portal, you will automatically be able to sign up for Alterac Valley, or you can head to a main city and speak to the Battlemaster. Next, we just gotta loot the banner inside the BG. As an Alliance, you do this at the blue circle, and as a Horde, at the red circle. It is an easy quest to do, but shouldn't be underestimated, as it allows us to also prepare more than 50,000 experience if done correctly. Therefore, it's also important that you don't hand in Proving Grounds. We do this at the launch day, and when you hand in this, you're also receiving a trinket. A trinket we can upgrade by getting Reputation with either the Stormpike Guard as an Alliance player or the Frostwolf clan as a Horde player. And when you get to Friendly, Honored, Revered and Exalted, you can upgrade the trinket and also get experience, which is why we can also prepare 50,000 experience or well close to if you manage to get to Exalted. The good thing is that you can quickly get Reputation. All you gotta do is just to keep signing up for Alterac Valley. Remember to also do the other quest, as those has to be prepared for Burning Crusade as well. There's also a small trick I would like to share with you. If you wait with this preparation until the pre-patch, then you will be able to farm Honor and the BG marks at the same time and get High Warlord and Grand Marshal items, because in the pre-patch you will no longer need to rank up in order to buy those items. This will save you a lot of time, as we can now do the quest, farm the Reputation, and also get insane epic items that we can use when we head into Outland, and those shouldn't be replaced until you reach a minimum of level 64. The next thing we should do is to head to Undercity as a Horde player and to Ironforge as an Alliance. In those main cities you would like to look for a specific NPC that gives you a pre-quest for Western Plaguelands. If you're not able to accept anything, then it's because you have already done this part. Next, we gotta head to Western Plaguelands. Or, as a Horde player, it is in fact located in Trustful Glades. Sadly, both factions are not getting the same follow-up, so I'll try to cover them quickly to get to the same part. Those of you playing Alliance will have to kill 10 of each creatures at the marked area. As a Horde player, you will need to loot a box right next to the quest giver. This will give you the Flame in a Bottle, an item we gotta use at this tent in Plaguelands. The moment you have cleared everything, you're ready to burn down the tent and also summon the Scourge Banner. This is an item you automatically receive the moment you picked up the quest. The next thing we do is to head back to hand it in, and now we are also being rewarded with 2 new things we can pick up. But you would only like to do all along the watchtowers. The positive thing is that both factions are now on the same part. We are receiving a torch that we gotta use at 4 different towers to mark those locations. This is being done in the middle of the zone. The moment you have marked all 4 towers, you hand in all along the watchtowers, and we are now also unlocking the final part that we gotta prepare for the Burning Crusade. What you need to do next is to slay this elite, but you'll most likely not be able to solo it, so try to assemble a party. The moment it has been slain, there will also spawn an item, and this has to be looted in order to obtain the shard. It's important to keep this shard in your inventory and not to complete the quest, as it's going to reward a lot of experience. The next thing we gotta do is to head into this building and head upstairs. Up there, we gotta find a Marlene who will tell you to find Pamela. You find Pamela in Dowershire in Eastern Plaguelands. Next, we gotta find her doll, and this is located nearby. But it's not just one doll, It's going to be 3 different pieces you gotta assemble together to create the door, and then bring it back to Pamela. This will unlock 2 new things we can pick up. The most important thing is going to be Ultimate Lean, but also pick up Uncle Colin, as we will do this part later on. Now we gotta go back to Western Plaguelands, where it all started, hand in the thing to Marlene and get the follow-up. We are being told to get a wedding ring, and this can be found outside the building. If you're level 60, you should be able to get past the creatures, else just take care of them and loot the wedding ring. What we need to do now is to find Chromie, and she can be found in this building in the middle of the zone. Just head upstairs and hand in the wedding ring. This will unlock the Annals of Darashar. The Annals of Darashar is located in this nearby building. In there will be many different books, and only one of these is the correct one. The correct one looks like it has been used for a long time, or someone spilled coffee over the different pages. If we go to the non-correct one, it's going to be a lot more shiny and bright. Basically a brand new book, where the Annals of Darashar looks way more dirty and also like an old book. Then we head back to Chromie to hand this in and pick up the follow-up, Brother Colin. He is found in Eastern Plaguelands at Light's Hope. After handing in Brother Colin, you're unlocking a couple of follow-ups. Here we also hand in Uncle Colin, the quest we got when we did the Pamela stall. All 3 quests has to be picked up and completed, as it's an important chain in order to unlock something that rewards us a lot of experience at the end. We are talking about almost 30,000. The first is done by slaying these ghouls. The moment you slay them, a ghost will appear, and you gotta speak to this until you have done it 15 times. What we gotta do next is to loot a sword and a skull. Those can be found in the middle of the zone. The skull is for example found under the water. Once this has been done, it's time for you to leave Eastern Plaguelands and instead move into the western part. Here you will find this barn, and outside the barn there's also going to be an object rewarding you this shield that you need to loot. And then there's one to be found at the northern part of the zone. This is going to be an elite area, but as a max level character you should be able to solo these on your own. In the building here you will find the last item, and once you have collected this, you're ready to head back to Light's Hope. In Light's Hope there's going to be one more follow-up we gotta do, and this is done nearby, at the exact same area as we also freed the spirits earlier in the video. As we're killing these skeletons, they're going to drop an item, and this item you can then use together with the quest item you got, and sometimes there's a chance that you will get the resonating skulls. You head back to Colin the moment you have collected all 5, and then you're being told to return to Chromie. Chromie will give us the final part, the Battle of Darashar. This is also a difficult quest, and you can definitely not solo it. You will need to be at least 5 people, if not a raid group, because it is possible to do this as a raid party. The entire event takes place at the same location as we also did Pamela's stall in Eastern Plaguelands. You will use the bundle to start the event, and the moment you have taken care of everything, you will also automatically complete it. Then we can hand this in to Pamela, but it is important that you don't do this yet. For the sake of this video, I'm gonna show you why we need to keep it. It's granting us almost 12,000 experience, but also a key. When you accept the follow-up, you will use this key on a chest right behind the building, and this is also granting us almost 14,000 experience. The next thing we can do is to head back to Light's Hope, because there's many other things we would like to take care of in Eastern Plaguelands. The next preparation I'm about to show you can mainly be done in less than 5 minutes, and it will grant you around 3 to 4 bars worth of experience. This is because a lot of these quests are telling you to provide materials you can farm and also sell on the auction house. Luckily, there's a lot of people selling these, which is why it's also super cheap to complete everything I'm currently doing. And yes, I will leave all the things I'm buying in the description below the video, so you can easily search for these items yourself on the auction house. And it will of course not just be for Eastern Plaguelands, but everything I'm doing in the guide. Soon we're also done with this zone, but first we gotta do one dungeon. Speak to Duke Nicholas and pick up the Archivist. Make sure to also speak to the gnome. There will be 2 quests, pick up both of them, even though one of these is going to be for another dungeon, Scholomance. However, we will do that dungeon at some point, so why not pick up the quest while we're here. Also speak to the undead at the inn as this is going to be yet another thing for Stratholme. Next, you assemble a 5-man party and head into the dungeon. The flesh has a high drop rate, so it shouldn't be too difficult to obtain all 10. The Stratholme Holy Water drops in different crates, but also supply boxes. And the good thing is that you can just abandon the quest, as you don't need to be on it in order to obtain these. Just make sure to keep the water in your bags, so you can pick this up and instantly complete it. What about the Archivist? Well, he can be found right before the last boss in the living part. The Grand Crusader is in this room, and behind us, the Archivist. The moment you have killed him, you have taken care of one of the things. The other thing you gotta do is basically just to burn the book on the table. At this point you have also completed everything. Then you gotta head back to Light Soap, but don't hand in these quests as we need those for Burning Crusade. Only hand in the Archivist. The reason being that there won't be a follow-up, but in fact there will in one way. We can head back into Stratholme and kill the final boss. He will drop a head, and this is only lootable if you have done the Archivist. The great thing is that this is beginning a quest, which is why you don't need this in your log. You can just accept this the moment you have handed in everything else in Light Soap. The last thing I will do while I'm here is to speak to the human. He is telling me to bring an Argent Dawn Valor token. These are easy to get. First, speak to Duke Nicholas and receive your Argent Dawn commission. This is a trinket you need to equip, and every time you're slaying an undead, there's also a chance you will be getting different Scourge Stones. The undeads has to be slain either in Eastern or Western Plaguelands. And then you can hand in the different Scourge Stones and get a Valor token. This Valor token you then keep for the release, so we can instantly pick up the quest and also hand that in. Finally, we have also finished everything in this zone and we're ready to move on to the next step. What you could be doing is to go to the auction house. Here you can buy one of these green materials. There's also a rare version, but this is way more expensive. Nonetheless, you only need one of each. The moment we're about to head into Outland, you will then visit this location real quick and speak to the NPC. This is where you hand in both of these materials, and like I mentioned, you only need to provide one of each. The reason being that these quests are repeatable, but will only grant you experience the first time you do them. If you would like to farm these materials yourself, then look out for rare creatures, as they have a high chance to drop the green gem. There's also an elite dragon patrolling around in Blasted Lands. You will need to assemble a party if you wish to kill it, but the great thing is that it also has a guaranteed chance to drop the rare gem. On the auction house we also gotta buy 60 runecloth, wool cloth, silk and mageweave. And yes, you don't need to buy linen cloth, as it's not required for what I'm about to do. In the different main cities there's going to be a cloth quartermaster. Here we hand in 60 wool, silk, mageweave and eventually 60 runecloth. This is granting us a lot of experience, and the insane thing is that there's one of these quartermasters in each individual main city, beside Orgrimmar where there's going to be 2, and also 2 in Ironforge. Alright, so what you need to buy is 60 of each individual cloth, but then again there's also 4 locations, so it's going to be a total of 240 wool, silk, mage and runecloth. The next thing I would recommend you to do is to head to this island in Stranglethorn. On the island you will find a troll telling you to collect 5 channelers heads. These are collected in the raid Solgurub. The moment you have got all 5, you then gotta head back to the quest giver, where we also gotta use the sacred cord, an item you got the moment you picked up this quest. And now we have also completed the part, but it's important you're not handing in this. In fact, we gotta head back into Solgurub and do this as much as possible to get Sandalar tribe reputation. As we get more reputation, you will be able to pick a neck, and this is going to be upgradable. Every time you upgrade the neck, you're also being rewarded with experience. There's one thing to be aware of. All classes are not getting the neck at the exact same NPC. It all depends on your class, but they can be found on the island. There's a couple of more things we gotta take care of. In the raid, we can also obtain different tokens. These tokens are made for specific classes, and on the island we can exchange them into epic items as long as you have got the required Sandalar tribe reputation. You don't need to be on these quests in order to obtain the different tokens, so you can just abandon them. At the launch day, you then go here and you hand this in to get a bit of experience. It's close to 10,000 for each individual epic item. While we're here, we also gotta do one more thing. Well, you don't need to pick up this quest, I'm just doing it to let you know what you gotta do. You gotta destroy a Bijou, and these you can buy on the auction house for less than 2 to 3 gold each. You just need to buy one of them and keep it in your inventory. The moment we can start leveling up, you then go to the altar, you destroy the Bijou, and you head back to the troll to get around 10,000 experience. The last thing I would recommend you to do is to head into Zul'Gurub and slay Hakkar. This boss will drop the Hearth of Hakkar, an item that begins the quest rewarding a lot of experience. You can also get such items by doing Onyxia's lair and obtain the head of Onyxia, or into Blackwing lair and obtain the head of Nefarian. All of these things are just additional things we can do. I know it is easier said than done, but everything counts if you wish to reach level 61, or in fact 62. Now there's just a couple of more things to do, and we have prepared everything we had to in this guide. In Burning Steps, you will find this cave. Outside and also inside the cave, there's going to be a couple of quests for the dungeon Blackrock Spire. And yes, both factions can pick up these, but if you're playing an alliance, you can also head to the Stormwind Keep. Here you will find a human telling you to head back to Burning Steps. In Burning Steps, you will get a follow-up for Blackrock Spire as well. And in fact, there's yet another NPC we can also speak to pick up Put Her Down. This is also for the very same dungeon. Those of you playing Horde will instead need to go to Undercity and speak to this undead. Pick up the quest I do right here, and then head to Badlands. In Badlands you will find an undead close to the innkeeper. She is telling you to also head into Blackrock Spire. The 5th quest can be found on top of this tower by speaking to the Tauren over here. The reason why I like dungeon quests is because they're rewarding us a lot more experience compared to a normal traditional quest. Now there's just one more dungeon to do, Scholomance, found in Western Plaguelands. In front of the entrance you will find the quest, and when we did Eastern Plaguelands we already picked up another thing. So all you gotta do is just to do Scholomance once. In a moment I'll show you how I plan to hand in every single quest at the launch day, but first I would also highly recommend you to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, as this will notify you when I post part 2. However, it will of course not be next week, as it takes a lot of time to make these videos. I gotta do the preparations, record everything, and do voiceover. Therefore, I also expect to finish part 2 in a month or so. Alright, moving on to the route. Our starting location is going to be in this cave in Silithus. Then you run to the dwarves at the southern part, and then to Cenarian Hold. The moment you have handed in everything here, we're ready to fly to Gadgetzan in Teneris. Here we run to Caverns of Time, where you're going to upgrade your ring and also hand in the AQ40 quest item if you have managed to pick this up. Next, we use our Heartstone to light soap in Eastern Plaguelands. First, we hand in everything in light soap, then we run down to Darashar, where we hand in the Pamela's quest and also looting the chest, followed by running to Western Plaguelands. In Western Plaguelands, we're going to Scholomance, and what you need to do next depends on your faction. If you're Horde, you're following the red arrow. If you're Alliance, you follow the blue one. As an Alliance, you will go to Chillwind Camp and hand in everything, and the next thing you can do is either to fly to Hillspread Foothills, or use your mount and run to Alterac Mountains, where we hand in the Alterac Valley quest. As a Horde, you will instead be moving to Tirisfal Glades. Here we hand in the quest at the camp, followed by running to Undercity to deliver the cloth to the Cloth Quartermaster. And now you're also ready to fly to Hillspread Foothills and run to Alterac Mountains. Next, we go back to Hillspread Foothills. As an Alliance, you want to fly to Ironforge to hand in our cloth, and as a Horde, you will instead go to Undercity, followed by taking the Zeppelin to Orgrimmar. In Orgrimmar, you're supposed to deliver cloth, and also accept the Onyxia and Nefarian head that begins a quest that you're supposed to hand in to Thrall. As an Alliance, you're supposed to hand in the cloth in Ironforge, followed by taking the train to Stormwind, and in Stormwind we gotta hand in some more cloth and also the Nefarian and Onyxia head. Once this has been done, you're ready to fly to Westfall and wait for the next instruction. The moment you have done the different things in Orgrimmar, you're supposed to fly to Thunderbluff. In Thunderbluff we hand in the cloth, and then you go back to Orgrimmar once more and take the Zeppelin to Stranglethorn. This is exactly why I also told the Alliance to fly to Westfall, because the next thing we gotta do is to head to this island at the northwestern part of Stranglethorn. When you have delivered everything, there's going to be 2 different things you can do. As a Horde, you should go to your nearby camp and fly to Burning Steps. As an Alliance, you gotta start running to Duskwood and then fly to Burning Steps. Both factions will need to hand in the Blackrock Spire quest at the white and yellow circle, but remember, as an Alliance, you also got a couple of things to hand in at the white and blue circle. Once these things has been done, both factions gotta do 2 separate things. As an Alliance player, you fly straight to Blasted Lands. As a Horde, we gotta go to Badlands and deliver a couple of things, followed by flying to Swamp of Sorrows and then running to Blasted Lands. In Blasted Lands, we gotta deliver the green and also blue gem if you have managed to get this, and now we are also ready to run through the Dark Portal. Soon I will also release my Burning Crusade leveling guide, where I'm going to cover many important things we gotta do as we are leveling up. You definitely don't want to miss this video, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified when I post this. As always, thank you so much for watching and have an amazing day. Peace.